Okay, we're going to create an open mouth salt monster for our clay project. First step, when you get your clay, you're going to half it. I did mine in about 25% is left behind, and then 75% is going to become my pinch pots. So I've rolled my pinch pot into a sphere. It doesn't have to be a perfect sphere. I stick my thumb into the sphere. I then start pinching like you're kind of like quacking like a duck going around. You don't want your walls too thin, but you also don't want them too thick. Remember that rule of thumb. You don't want it bigger than your thumb, but you also don't want it paper thin. If it's paper thin, it could break with air. So I'm pinching around, creating a pot. That's what's going to hold my salt. It's also going to be the mouth of my monster. So I'm pinching around and smoothing. Once you've gotten it all pinched, you're going to add paper towels so it will hold its form while you're designing your monster. I'm going to close up my mouth a little bit because I don't want it to be too wide. I want it to be able to hold the salt and also tilt on its side. So I'm not making it where the salt monster's mouth is facing up. It's going to be tilting on its side. So I'm smoothing it as I kind of pinch it a little bit closer so it doesn't have any lines. I don't want it to be scratchy or going to have any parts that could cut me once it turns into glass. I'm also making it where it will stand up straight because you don't want it to be falling over either. I'm making also the bottom part where it's going to hold enough of my salt where it's not going to fall out. Once I have the mouth the way I want it, I have to think about what kind of creature I'm going to make. I'm going to make mine look like a minion. You can make yours look like any monster you want. You can make it a made-up monster. You can make it a monster that you like. That's a cartoon. It's up to you creating your monster. First thing I'm doing is creating its eye. I don't want the clay to be too big because I don't want it to explode. Remember, we talked about that rule of thumb. I'm kind of matching with my thumb. I'm going to score so I can attach. I press. And remember, the most important part is to smooth. If you don't smooth, it doesn't attach. So you really want to smooth going around on whatever that you're attaching to your pot. So now I have my eye. I'm going to add a little bit more details to it with a pencil. So I'm poking in a little dot for my eye. Once I've gotten the eye on there, I'm going to add some different characteristics to my monster. So I'm going to make it look like one of the minions. So I'm starting to form a little circle going around the eye. After I've done that, I'm going to then create a headband. Now remember, you don't have to do this step. You create your own monster. It's up to you, the different details. Be creative with it. The more creative it is, the cooler it will end up looking. After I've added the details of the headband, I start to add details to the hair. I give it some hands so that it's going to look like that it's holding its hands, opening its mouth wide. These are just little extra details to make my monster look cute. Remember, you don't have to make yours exactly like mine. The whole point is to have fun with it. Once I have my pinch pot finished, my next step that I'm going to do is to create a spoon. That spoon is going to be what you take the salt out with. The spoon is also going to be the monster's tongue. So I'm making it about the size of a finger width. And then I'm going to also create a pinch pot at the end. Because remember, a spoon's kind of like a little pinch pot, so you can scoop up things. You do also want to make sure it's nice and smooth so that it doesn't scratch you. And you also want to make sure it's still thick enough that air is not going to break it. You don't want it paper thin. So you're just kind of adding a little bit of details to your spoon part. And then I'm going to add a little line to make it look like a tongue. So that way whenever it's in the monster's mouth, it's a tongue sticking out that could then scoop up salt. Once you have your project finished, you're going to write your name on the back. Try to fit your first name, not nicknames. And then you'll probably want to also on the bottom of the spoon put an initial. That way we know whose spoon is whose.